Today we're going to be talking about Frida Kahlo and cultural appropriation. Did she partake in this terrible, heinous practice that we have condemned in present day? Let's talk about it. Hi everyone, I am Jessica Gonzalez-Gibson, the leading lady of Kaleidoscopes and Polka Dots, where I sell handmade, vintage-inspired jewelry that honors Hispanic American heritage. Today's topic is very near and dear to my heart because cultural appropriation, while it's been a term in our vocabulary most frequently used as of, 5 years ago or so, it wasn't so prevalent that long ago. And as we understand it to be presently, I believe that we've taken it too far. And that was the inspiration behind today's video. Actually, the inspiration directly is a article that I ran across that I thought was published this year. Luckily, it was published 2 years ago. And I say luckily because I thought, oh no, are we doing this again? Because I really don't want to go back to those terrible years where everybody was nitpicking each other apart over their like of music, their love of certain artists, fashion, lip liner, and lipstick combination. Although cultural appropriation and using it as a form of canceling someone is not likely going to go away. I hope that we can start reevaluating how we see cultural appropriation, or whether it actually needs to be called out all the time, because in my opinion it really doesn't. It's not that serious, and most of the time it is more of a matter of cultural appreciation rather than appropriation. And if you see somebody mimicking it in art, as we kind of see it here in Frida Kahlo's portrait, there's got to be more to it. Artists take inspiration from their worldview and the world around, and they try to say something. So let's try and think about what they are trying to say. As Sunny Hostin always says, let's put on our hats. In her case, it's a lawyer hat. Let's put on our empathy hat or our understanding hat. Try to see things through their way, through their worldview, or try to figure out if there's more to it than just a strict appropriation of a culture that they have no business taking part in. Anyway, let's get into the article. The article is written by Chris Gonzalez. Yes, Chris Gonzalez. It's published on OPB, and the title is Frida Kahlo and Appropriation of Indigenous Cultures. So here we have basically a transcript from a podcast, maybe the OPB podcast, and they are interviewing Jose Lopez, head curator at Albuquerque Museum, and Alberto McKelligan Hernandez, assistant professor of art history at Portland State University. And the interviewer is David Miller to Alberto McKelligan Hernandez. First, I thought we could start with the question of cultural appropriation, a very contemporary question. We can talk about the challenges of applying it to something from 100 years ago. But in one of Frida Kahlo's famous paintings, Self-Portrait of a Tehuana, Kahlo painted herself as an indigenous woman from Tehuantepec. She said this to a magazine once: "I've never been to Tehuantepec, nor do I have any connection with the town. But of all Mexican dresses, it's the one I like the most. And that's why I wear it." If a non-native artist posted a similar photograph of themselves with similar reasoning on Instagram today, they would be canceled immediately. We would call it cultural appropriation. How would it have been seen 100 years ago by people from Tehuantepec at the time? And McKelligan Hernandez has an amazing response. First, I want to talk about the history. Frida Kahlo was born close to the revolution. The Mexican Revolution started in 1910. She wasn't born in 1910, but she was born a little bit earlier in time, like 1909 or 1906, something like that. Growing up, she saw firsthand what it was to live under Porfirio Díaz's dictatorship. And he had been around, I think, for at least 50 years, if not 25 years, something like a very prolonged amount of reign he took. Yes, I'm speaking like Yoda. Anyway, she lived through Porfirio Diaz and then the transition over to more of a democracy. And Frida, having used the Tehuantepec dress, is a way of honoring the Tehuantepec people. Back in those times, Indigenous people were seen as inferior. Anybody of lighter skin tone was seen as superior, and it was just a whole classism thing, and that really fueled her understanding of the world and her alignment in politics. That is where I think she was coming from when she created this dress. And McKelligan Hernandez lets us know. Let's talk about it. So he says, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Very happy to be here. I think what you mentioned in terms of how it's important to consider the specific historical national context in which the imagery developed is of crucial importance here. When Kahlo was creating that painting in which she presented herself wearing the traditional attire of the Tehuana, this was part of a larger national push to reevaluate the meaning and significance of Indigenous culture in Mexico after the revolution, as a way to transcend the larger history of colonialism in the region. A lot of intellectuals, writers, visual artists were trying to insert Indigenous imagery into their work as a way to celebrate the heritage, which had long been marginalized in Mexican culture and Mexican art. So, in terms of the original audience for those paintings, no one in post-revolutionary Mexico would have read the image as Kahlo presenting herself as a Tehuanan. It would have immediately be understood to be a part of political celebration of Indigenous culture to transform the national identity of Mexico. So I think it's important not to lose track of the larger structural conditions in which that imagery emerges. It's very different from the kind of discourse of appropriation that makes it all about individual choosing to profit, exploit imagery. An important part of the conversation loses track of social context. I love that. And I think a lot of that is applicable to today as well. There is so much going on a daily basis. Every day there's something new to consider and something new to pray for. What better way to do it than through art, through embracing it, even if we are not a part of that culture. Clearly, here I have a vested interest in us changing the discourse around cultural appropriation. I can't be in a silo here. There's got to be other stories. If you have a small business, if you are also an artist who has seen this, please share your story down below. I would love to hear, because I know that as artists, we look at the world, we're inspired by the world, whether it's by politics or just by the beauty of some other culture's art. It's inevitable and it's beautiful and it should be honored and celebrated, and we should strive to learn about it. Now, don't get me wrong, I do believe that cultural appropriation exists. I just don't think that it is as widespread and vast as social media would like us to believe. Believe that most of the time it's cultural appreciation. All right, guys, I know that this was kind of a heavier video and totally opinion based, other than me referencing this article. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to check out my website, Kaleidoscopes and Polka Dots, and shop it, I would love to have you. Please do sign up for my newsletter so that you save 20% off any order, big or small. And also to stay in touch, because we never know if our push notifications are going to go out or not around here, right? Right. Also, don't forget to register to vote. Your vote always makes a difference. I'll talk to you again soon.